You're listening to KWOU. Coming up next, the amazing, unbelievable adventures of Dr. Theophilius Crux, Ph.D., and his faithful companion, Archibald, the Tasmanian emu. Re-entering the daily grind from a blissful drift in unreality makes me resent the habituation this world has left imprinted on my mind like the tread of worn-out shoes on sharp gravel. Welcome back, everyone. Why do I have to keep telling you? Among other things, I'm tired. I'm tired of telling you I'm tired, and I'm tired of telling you that I'm tired of telling you that I'm tired. I'm busy. I'm dizzy. Apollo, where is he? Tell him to send one of his muses in a box drizzled with sweet and spicy inspiration sauce, because I'm hungry for a taste of someone else's neurons. In this economy, they've been firing left and right, a bipartisan business breakdown, if you will. And of course, you doubt me, because I'm still here, and you quietly fear that I'm right. That the end of the amazing, unbelievable adventures of Dr. Theophilius Crux, Ph.D., and his faithful companion Archibald the Tasmanian emu is near. And so you cling to me like a crocodile and roll me in the river that flows ever downstream of consciousness. So, this has all been a highly self-indulgent and circuitous way of perpetuating my own status quo, a loathsome balm to my own self-loathing. What I mean to say is that I have two things. Thing number one, a collection of interview questions, broad, odd, and in 3 states outlawed. Number 2, Nova Kohnke in the studio with me to answer them. Was that so hard? How are you, Nova?
Well, I'm here.
That is a factually true statement. What are your pronouns? What are your nouns? And what are your adjectives?
My pronouns are they, them, theirs. My nouns are rain, rains, raining. And what was that last one?
Adjectives.
Adjectives. I would say slimy.
Slimy. Okay. Time. Smash or pass?
Smash.
Smash time. In the event of a fire, what is your favorite color?
Yellow.
Yellow. That's highly ironic. Why do I still have a headache?
Probably because you haven't had your afternoon cup of coffee.
Live, laugh, love. Pick one and discard the rest.
Laugh.
You would rather live and love but never laugh?
Oh, I thought I was discarding the other two.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, so you would laugh but not live or love?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
I'd love to laugh into the void, I think.
Okay, laugh into the void. That's on theme for this show. What is in a name anyway, and are you allergic to any of it?
What is in a name?
Yeah.
Whatever you want there to be.
So not necessarily allergic then?
Only sometimes.
Who are you and what are you doing in my studio?
Well, I would say that, God, this is really hard nonsense talk. Well, who are you?
I'm the host of the show.
The host? Yeah. I am some stray cat you picked up, and I'm here to read some poetry.
I like that. How long have you been writing?
Since I was about 16, but we don't talk about those poems or writings. We talk about the ones that I wrote from about 19 onward.
What does inspiration feel like?
Like a warmth in my chest, or sometimes a heavy weight. It's always in my chest.
Another writer friend of mine told me that inspiration is just an excuse writers make up to avoid doing the hard work of just buckling down and writing. Is this true? And if not, why are you wrong?
Oh, it is 1,000% true. And it is an excuse I use myself all the time. I think that if I actually just sat down and wrote every day, I would get a lot more good stuff out.
If your average 7:30 p.m. on a Thursday had a theme song, which would it definitely not be?
Which would it definitely not be? You know that clown track from... what was it? One of the Madagascar movies where the zebra's wearing the rainbow...
The Afro Circus one?
Yeah.
How does that? Not that?
Not that. No.
Ah, what a shame.
I know, I wish.
Out of idle curiosity, what are your idols?
My idols as in what I do idly, or my idols as in who I admire?
Yes.
Yes? Well, I love Mary Oliver, and I also love getting crunk to Billy Joel sometimes.
Billy Joel, that's a vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Who can you trust? And who should you trust but don't?
I would say I can trust my friends and I should trust myself, but I don't.
Too often. Should apricots be allowed to drive?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought so too. Is meaninglessness attractive and, more importantly, flageldrum Trumsterdam Magalekschnikna?
Bleep, blop, bloop.
Oh, that's a fair counterpoint.
Thanks.
What's your take on musicals?
Oh, I love them. If you don't love them, get out of here.
All right.
Ah, shit.
Which is better, analysis or paralysis? Bonus question. What about the two combined?
Well, the two combined, I don't think that you could get much analysis done if you're paralyzed. Analysis all the way, baby.
Analysis, okay. But I mean, if you're analyzing, then you can't be paralyzed.
Well, yeah. So analysis all the way.
Oh, okay. If a hallway could feel anxiety, what would its symptoms be?
It would just continue stretching and stretching and stretching and never quite getting to its destination.
Oftentimes, I feel like anthropomorphizing is art's only trick in its repertoire, that all art is at some basic level us vomiting up subjectivity onto a cold, uncaring rock. Please, for the love of something I called God, convince me otherwise.
Well, I mean, that's quite the tall ask. I think that is all we do. I don't think there's really any meaning in the world that we don't make, right? I mean, I'm going to look at that tree. I have a poem about trees, actually, and I talk about how I see myself in it and how I see myself in everything. And, I mean, that's just art, making meaning and out of nothing and trying to relate to something that you could probably never actually truly relate to. I wish I knew what a tree felt like.
Conversely, and perhaps controversially, would the opposite of anthropomorphization be objectification, the turning of a subjective being into a mere cold, uncaring, and perhaps uncared for rock? If so, is it possible for this process to be artistic?
I would say so. Probably not something that, I mean, damn, I'm going to have to try that. That is really an interesting thought, actually. I don't know. It might be kind of boring, though. I feel like oh, sorry, I need to talk to the mic. Sorry, I have to think. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could do that, but I feel like you would just be describing what you see every day.
I only see a cold, uncaring rock every day?
Well, yeah, and then your brain makes something out of it.
Why do you write? And more importantly, what do you write?
Well, I started writing as a way to kind of escape and process a lot of just shit, honestly. But I think now I write... Oh, God, that's hard. Sorry. I have to think about that for a second. Why do I write? I don't know, Jasper. You've caught me on a weird day, I'll be honest. I think I write because I don't know how not to.
I see.
And
sorry, go.
I think the second question was what I write.
What do you write? Yeah.
I write a lot of poetry. I've been recently getting back into fiction. And I recently just finished a creative nonfiction piece, a memoir about leaving the Mormon church, actually. So a lot of stuff about religion, a lot about nature. I really like nature. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Can the dreadful presence hovering over your left shoulder hear you breathing?
Yes.
What did you have for breakfast this morning?
I didn't eat breakfast.
Rip. Oxygen. What are you going to have for breakfast 30 years from now?
You know, when I do have breakfast, I'm pretty consistent. I would say probably scrambled eggs and toast with Lowry's seasoning salt and black pepper.
Lowry's. Do you like films?
Depends on the film. I haven't liked films as of late, but I feel like there are a lot of things if you're willing to sift through the garbage.
I'm offended.
I'm sorry.
Name a film you like.
Lately I've been a bit enamored with, oh God, it's escaping me. The Spider-Man movie, the animated one that Sony just did. Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
Very visually distinct.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I feel like it's a really good love letter to storytelling, and then also like the art of animation and the art of comic books, really. I feel like it's the first movie in a long time that I've watched and felt like someone who made it actually loved it.
In what ways is math isolated from the rest of knowledge, and how can it be integrated? I need to know so I can thwart their efforts to do so.
You are asking an English writing major, my friend. I would not have the answer if I even tried.
Very good. You protect yourself that way. What's something that everybody knows but nobody understands?
God, you're going to make me sound like a pretentious asshole.
That's kind of the idea.
Everyone knows how to wake up in the morning. And I feel like they don't really understand how to actually wake up in the morning and enjoy it.
What's something that everybody understands but nobody knows they understand?
Ugh, now you're going to make me sound like a sappy asshole. I think everyone everyone. That's a hard one. I think everyone understands love, and maybe not in the same way that, I don't think I understand love in the same way that you understand love, or that anyone else understands love. But I think we all kind of understand it without really knowing that we do. I feel like people are constantly searching for that in different ways.
I often find it very difficult to just be myself, as the saying goes. It seems to me that being is a very taxing task. The self is slippery. What say you on being? Is it easy for you?
It's easier some days than others. I think that being requires you to have a level of okayness with yourself that I've taken many, many years to achieve, and still some ways have not achieved. It's hard to be alone with your thoughts sometimes and be okay with that.
Which is why I have a radio show. What is the proper relationship between fiction and reality? What is the difference?
God, you ask hard questions, Jasper. Damn.
That's what I'm here for.
The difference between fiction and reality.
Or the proper relationship between the two.
Or the proper relationship too. I think fiction enhances reality. I think it's a lot of wish fulfillment and what I wish I could do. I wish I could ride a fucking dragon like my favorite YA protagonist, I wish I had magic spells I could shoot out of my hands. But no, not yet. Anyway.
What's a seemingly random but nevertheless meaningful memory you have?
Seemingly random. I don't think this qualifies as seemingly random, but the first thing that came to mind was every night before I went to, or as I was going to bed and my mom was putting me to bed, we would have a little argument about who loved each other more. And so she would always say, I love you mostest. And I'd say, I love you bestest. And she would say, I love you bestest. And I'd say, I love you mostest. And we would argue and argue and argue until she shut the door, but left it just a little bit open because I was afraid of the dark.
To what extent are the things you do you? What else is there?
Well, I mean, if we're going to go back to the being question, I think that everything I do is me, whether or not I like it. And I do some things that I don't like sometimes, and I have to learn how to be okay with that. And I do things that I'm really proud of sometimes, and that's great. But I think we are like a collection of our experiences and actions, and that part of being okay is acknowledging that, you know, just because you did something bad, you're not evil. Yeah, so it's a little bit of everything. A little spice here, some paprika, a little Cajun. Love a little Cajun.
Where do you want your life to go? Where do you not want your life to go? And where do you think it's currently going?
Well, we'll start with the now. I am exhausted. And I don't really know. I don't know. I'm sitting in that exhaustion right now. You caught me on a sleepy day. As for where where I would like to go, I would love to teach creative writing, preferably at the college level. I feel like people actually want to be in your college creative writing classes. And oh my God, I forgot the question. Where I want to go.
Where you don't want to go.
Where I don't want to go.
And where are you?
Where am I? Well, where I don't want to go. Sorry, we caught me at the end of the day. Can you ask that question again?
Sure.
Thank you.
Where do you want your life to go? Where do you not want it to go? And where do you think it's going currently?
Where I want to go is I want to be happy and comfortable. And I want to wake up in the morning and be excited about my day. Where I am, I get that probably about 50% of the time. Sometimes, the other day I woke up, actually, I had gotten my sweet 8 hours of sleep, and I felt like I could fight God and win, and that I had just the most sinister and delightful magics running through my veins. So I would like to feel that most mornings. And then as for where I don't want to go, anywhere but a middle school. I'm going back for my master's in teaching at some point probably, and the last place I want to be is a room full of 13-year-olds, because as John Mulaney once said, they are the meanest people in the world.
Yes. Do you like sandwiches?
Depends on the day, but yeah, sure.
Do you ever feel detached? What's something that helps you feel more grounded?
Yeah, sometimes I get a little out there, get a little spacey. But usually deep breathing is pretty good. And honestly, nothing beats going for a brisk walk in it's got to be 65 degrees. It's got to be that perfect, it's crisp. And maybe the sun is out. It's a nice spring day, no clouds. And I got my headphones on and I am just bebopping to Billy Joel or I don't know, some sick pop beat, whatever it is I'm feeling, whatever is injecting serotonin into my veins at that current time.
What is the symbolic significance of a staple remover?
There's a lot of, that's fun. The symbolic significance of a staple remover. Well, there's a lot there, right? There's the idea of removing something that kind of feels permanent. I was a master of removing staples that I had misstapled in elementary school as a perfectionist with my hands, because we didn't have staple removers. They don't give those to elementary schoolers. But yeah, there's something there I think about removing something that was close to permanent. They're pretty strong. And just the removing in general is interesting, and the binding of two or more papers together. Sort of that separation, the holes left behind.
Finally, is it possible to unbelieve something once you have believed it? And if so, do you find this show unbelievable?
Well, yeah. I did the whole rigmarole with the Mormon church. I was like, oh yeah, I totally believe this. And then I decided a few years later, no, I certainly don't. I don't know. I think, and maybe this isn't the answer you want, but I think I find your show quite believable.
And now, poetry by Nova Kohnke.
All right, first we have that tree poem I talked about earlier. It's called Ghost Forest, and it begins with an epitaph. Over 1 million acres of Oregon were lost to the 2020 wildfires, along with thousands of homes and 11 lives. Charred trunks stretch long, spindly arms from bare soil to overcast skies. I remember stretching short, stubby arms to the top of my world, begging my mother to lift me, let me tuck my face in the warm crook of her neck. Most trees stay empty now, shucked husks and old barns, the kind with roofs heavy from soggy moss, home only to ghosts and rotting wood. One's charcoal scars twist in scorched tendrils up its body, flames licked only halfway up. Emptied branches bud green, begging gray blankets to let sunlight coax young leaves unfurled. Next we've got kindled. My mother and I gravitate to heat, our old brick fireplace sinking into freckled skin. Closed my eyes, pretended to be a baby alligator lizard sunning itself on river rock. Scalded fingertips on a light bulb at 6. My mother asked why. I couldn't remember who'd reached for the tender yellow glow, me or my stout hands. Blistered them again at 10, skimming across burnished steel and iron, too enamored with its mirroredness to wonder if it was hot. Lit my first pipe at 15, sucked skunk smoke in and coughed it all back up. Eyes teared when the cherry scorched my throat, so I closed them, pretended to be someone whose friends wouldn't smoke dope with them, then say they're a vapid bitch when they left. Slept next to someone I loved at 20, wrapped an arm over their side, tugged tenderly to my chest, gingerly pressed my snub nose to the back of their neck. I've always read passion seared, burnt people like candles to stubbed wicks, maybe quicker, like fuses. I wonder if they felt heat leach from my skin the way it leaches from hearth bricks when you press your palm to one. And then lastly, we have one of my favorites that I've ever written, actually. What if God had let angels love? Mormon Bible studies never talk about angels. There's Moroni guarding his golden plates, of course, but I've always wondered if Uriel had a flaming sword, if Raphael really built the stars with God, and if his hands have scars and burns from bending white-hot helium and hydrogen into shape. And I wonder if any of them ever wanted to hold a child in their arms, if any of them were too tender for war, and if any of them wanted to take Lucifer's hands in theirs and forgive him instead of casting him out. Did they cry as he burned, heart charred? Did Raphael ever look at the burn marks crisscrossed over his own palms and feel it too?
We'll return to the city next to nothing and its boringly reflective inhabitants, trying not quite desperately enough to reunite themselves with some semblance of ark while being oblivious to the coming flood. After the break. You're listening to KWOU. Are you an aspiring author, a passionate artist, a creative mind? Are you interested in having your work published? WOO's art and literature magazine, The Northwest Passage, wants your work for their winter issue. The Northwest Passage is accepting submissions until February 25th. Email your work to northwestpassage@woo.edu today. Share your creativity with the WOO community. Here we are again, panning over the sprawl of Nexanath, searching for our main characters like needles in a needle stack. Look there, an elderly woman hunched over with the combined weight of her purse and her legacy, or lack thereof. Behold, twin fairies dance among cobwebbed corner store lights, oblivious to the passing traffic that shrugs off their existence like so much dust. Witness the silver fox and his salt and pepper emu, utterly lost after their daring escape from a literally but not metaphorically underground group of neo-Adastrian radicals seeking to reignite the conflict that had so ravaged the land so many years ago, turning what was once a lush wasteland into a barren wasteland, in so that the world could be ground down to an even finer powder than it already was, and snorted in lines by the gods on a crazy Saturday night. Where was I? Notice a little light from the window. The room is dark, but it seems all the brighter for it. Its calm and confident glow radiating through the greenhouse hallways, refracting through the paneling out towards random passerby on the stepping stone walkways, yes, but also to one particular passerby, now paused in their daily grind, remaining upright in the flesh but floored in the spirit when they looked upon that synchronuitous glow that spoke to them, like a haunted soundbite planted in the mind by reptilian overlords, promising and implying meaning, but delivering none. You do not know this particular passerby, nor shall you ever. What you do know is fishing. By the numb nose of the numinous, are you a ghost? Exclaimed the beetle-shaped man, nearly dropping his great-uncle's ancestral fishing pole in fright. Luce turned and smiled. Watch your profanity. Yes, I am a ghost, but I'm also saying that metaphorically, and it's well known that ghosts are incapable of metaphor and self-contradiction, so clearly then I must not be a ghost. The beetle-shaped man sighed in relief. Oh, that's good. I suppose after all it is our ability to self-contradict that separates us from the machines we evolved from. Precisely. Come to fish with me, old man? Or are you still angling about in the catching profession? Well, perhaps I'd feel inclined if you'd call me by my name. Well, all right then. Nova Kohnke said that anything you want is in a name. Is that true of yours? Generally, but I think it's specific to beetle-shaped names. Is your name beetle-shaped? Indeed it is. What is your name? John Lennon. My, that's remarkably beetle-shaped. Fitting, my being a beetle-shaped man and all. John Lennon sat down. Sorry for letting you fall into the void those many days ago. I simply didn't know what to do. Luce cast his line out into the absence of the... That's okay. A lot of people don't know what to do in the presence of the void. That's what fascinates me about this strange little town anyway. I'm Luce, by the way. Nice to meet you, Luce. Thank you for forgiving me. It's been eating me up inside like a tapeworm. Anytime. I didn't used to be a forgiving person, just a forgetful one. But going through the void changed me pretty good. Hell, maybe more people should try going through the void. Well, what if they don't come back? Well, that's fair. Some will probably just stay there. I guess it would have to be a risk they'd be willing to take. They both fished for a while in silence, enjoying each other's company. Then, I have to stop him, John. Who? You know. Oh. Yeah, I suppose you do. How do you plan to do it? Well, it worked once before, so I'm hoping if I have enough of it. He felt a jerk on his line. There it is. This time he was ready. He stood battle-stanced against the void, drawing it out like poison from a wound. Nothing raged against this ensnarement, writhing as violently as its paradoxically headed creator, shrieking against the sting of existence. His hands were bleeding. Help me, John! John threw down his great-uncle's pole without a second thought and grasped the rod of Luce, and pulled as if he could bring back his wife and daughter. They were screaming now. The pole shivered. The pole shuddered. The pole shattered. And just as a monstrous nothing reared its featureless face, it plummeted back into the inky black, their struggles against the void as futile as any other. But damn it, John Lennon is a Nexanothian, and he will not be taunted by the void. He flung himself over the edge. John, no! Luce shouted instinctively. John grabbed the nothing by the throat and wrestled with it for 7 nanoseconds as they fell. And then, with the last of his beetle-shaped might, he turned and hurled the nothing up and out of the void, where Luce caught it and contained it in a jar. Luce watched his friend fall. It was good to see you again, John. Augustine wept, and she didn't know why. Unbeknownst to her, she was sick and tired of being born anew and anew and anew and anew, like it had all lost its meaning somewhere along the way. All these paradigm shifts de-differentiated into the bland and scientific shudder of particles locked in grid-like stasis with their fellow particles, all shuddering differently, musing on the particle experience. She was terrified of Ouroboros, that this recursiveness was simply existence, that she had traveled so far to get there, all just to be here again. She was sick, and she was tired. She was afraid she was turning into Matt Brown. The people were at the doors now. It's pointless to describe them as an ocean, though their movements were wave-like and vast. It would be a disservice to the mare to equate their irateness with its greatness. The ocean has no agenda. It cares not for the collapse of death, but people, on the other hand, they may not have realized it until now, but they have lived off death. It was humanity's single most important export, and now the inane mismanagements of a bloated, unadaptive corporation became the scapegoat for their suppressed fear of the coming end. They stormed the building. Augustine sat above it all, alone in her coffinicle, perhaps waiting to be born anew yet again. She could feel his stench. She could taste his smile. The nondescript and non-literal hand of the brown caressed her shoulder, and she recoiled despite herself. Wouldn't be long now. There was no way out. This was the natural consequence of everything she had been up until this point. She had walked out over the cliff with him, and in her naive, cartoonish logic, she believed that she would not fall if she did not look down. Augustine looked down out the window to the mob pouring through the building, and she felt nothing, just like he would. As she slowly crunched a deluxe chicken lettuce wrap, Fuchsia considered the words she had thrown at the author in the desert. Had she really meant what she had said, or was it simply a moment of emotional release like the popping of a passionate pimple, not to be given any meaningful weight? She hated herself for regretting what she, in the moment, felt so sure about. Why couldn't she be sure? The spine of the lettuce began to taste increasingly bitter, but as if to counter this negative development, the universe sent her loose, fresh back from fishing the void and mourning the death of John Lennon, as we all were. "Hello, Fuchsia." He sat down. "Luce, why can't I ever be sure about this?" "About what?" Fuchsia gestured wildly at the entirety of existence. Luce nodded knowingly. "As a friend once told me, our ability to self-contradict is what defines us as human. If we were sure, we'd be machines." Fuchsia huffed and bit her chicken wrap. "But I'm not a human, Luce. I'm a vampire. I have this thirst for something that just never seems to be satisfied, like no conclusion could ever be enough." "Do you want that thirst to go away?" Fuchsia considered it. I guess. I want to feel like I have a place in the world, that I can just take things as they are, as they happen to me. Why am I always 2 steps ahead of myself?" "I don't know, Fuchsia. There's not much in the way of whys. If you're looking for things as they are, perhaps you should start there. Your method and your goal are opposed to each other. You want things as they are, but you go on asking why. Perhaps the first thing you should accept as it is yourself, your entire self, even the part that's always 2 steps ahead, asking why." "So, you mean doubting existence is an integral part of existence, and the separation from myself is what defines me as a self? According to Kierkegaard, yes." "Weird. Well, that seems at least a little bit defeatist. Maybe. Or maybe the Little League baseball philosophy was correct all along. It's not about winning, and thus it's irrelevant to call it defeatist, because we're measuring the game on an entirely different axis." They went back and forth like this for hours, each trying to metaphysically counsel the other with an arsenal of perhapses and maybes and consider the lilies in the fieldses, not realizing that Matt Brown was watching intently and feeding off of the non-Kierkegaardian despair they were desperately trying to bury underneath these streams of nonsense multisyllabic words. Sound familiar? "Thank you for dropping by into my little shop of horrors. Unfortunately, our stock is thin. It's been bought by the Times, as empty as my pores when I pulled your words out from under my skin. Our shelves are sparse, our backrooms blank. I wish I had more to offer, but I'm on withdrawal from a backwards bank, and my lungs are its coffers. All I can give you is doubt. If you're looking for me to sell something, tell some sing-song jingle about a trinket or Krispy Kreme Kringle, just kill me already. At best, I'm skeptical, except when I can't connect at all. Then I slide into kleptomaniacal nihilist cynicism, seizing every day for myself, sneezing at my own health, squeezing the life out of every belief I can possibly get my hands on. But I've never been much for hands-on. I know not the name of my neighbor. Reading a book can be as much hard work as any other kind of manual labor. What were you looking for in this shop, anyhow? Did something in the window catch your eye? Like a small fry, drawn to the light of the angler, now I must devour you, lest I die? Do you know how rare it is in the dark to chance upon a meal, to dance onto the reel of the fisherman's sickly steel? I'm seeking, but still. A sea king must wait patiently, and a shopkeep sell his wares. To be fair, he did till recently, and on his grave he swears. He saw the end approaching fast. It was black and sheer and over. Try as he may, nothing would last. Make way for God's bulldozer. Thank you for dropping by, but I can't give you what you want of me. Tune in next week for the next episode. Remember to take care of yourself. It's the only self you've got. Unless you've stashed another one away somewhere without a permit. Where are you keeping it? Don't make me come in there. I'm Jasper Beck, and this is The Amazing, Unbelievable Adventures of Dr. Theophilius Crux, Ph.D., and his faithful companion Archibald, the Tasmanian emu. You're listening to KWOU. Feeling lost? Great news! Every Friday at 5 p.m., DJ Great Blue Heron will take your hand and guide you through the music maze, a magical labyrinth filled with adventure, danger, laughter, and friendship. Come along and join us for the musical adventure of a lifetime, if you dare never to return. Thank you.